This episode on Beers in the Shed, we've got cold beer. My good mate Jesse is in the workshop with me, and we're going through over 20 years of hard-learned lessons for driving on some of Australia's toughest tracks and how to prep your vehicle, things we've learned over the years getting them set up right. Mate, of course, we've got our epic regulars like our wins, fails, and 4W 24/7 kids.
Yep.
And then we're going to be looking at some new vehicles that are coming out this year. So, mate, let's get into it. Well, Jesse, mate, firstly, I'm excited to have you down here in my nest.
It's been a while since I've been in your little workshop, mate, and the red Lux is looking pretty flashy compared to the last time I saw it.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't worked on it in a little while because I've been playing with Land Rovers, but I'm keen to get back into it. Maybe you could help me get on the tools, mate. It's pretty clean.
I'm a bit scared. I might just pass you the tools. I don't want to get too close.
This hot topic is a cracker because hard learned lessons off-road. I know you, Shaun, Graham, all of us have made a lot of mistakes wheeling, but a lot of the time, and modifying cars, they're better for it. And there's a couple of things that we'd like to share with you, and some that you guys have sent in, lessons that you've learned after years of wheeling.
It's the best thing about mistakes. You always learn something from them. You take it away and you never do it again.
Exactly. Well, mate, let's get straight into it, because one of the ones starting off in the shed before you've gotten out onto the tracks, you've got that dream trip you've been thinking about for years, you take some spare parts, and there's lots of spares to take. But you know, bearings, filters, fluids, belts, hoses are a big one.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, particularly with modern vehicles, or if you go to your local parts store, sometimes it might be a slightly different part from a different variant. I know my Hilux, that engine that's in it, there's like 9 different variants of that engine.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to make sure you get the right things. And there is nothing worse than having to change one of those parts out in the bush and realizing it doesn't fit, particularly when you're remote.
Yeah, that happened one year to me and Kate. I was in the D-Max, well, I think it was a CB we broke. We had them from the old car. What's the shoe now the same? Went to put them in the new model and they did not fit in. They were very remote. So,
and the solution to that, which I've learned after plenty of times making that mistake, is before you go and you service your vehicle, if you're doing a big trip, you're doing your hoses, your belts, filters, fluids, bearings, etc. When you're doing them, if the old ones are still in serviceable condition, you're just replacing them to be a bit more proactive, use them as spares, because realistically, they only need to get you out of the bush, and you know they're going to fit.
Yeah, that's the big one, yeah.
And if you're not servicing the vehicle yourself, if your mechanic's doing it, ask him to inspect those parts, and if they're still in good nick, keep them as spares.
Because even if you don't know how to put the part on, if you have it with you in your remote area, it fixes 10 times of the problems.
Yeah, big time.
We don't have to sit around waiting for things. If you've got the part, someone can fit it. One of the ones I've definitely learned from, mate, I'm guilty of doing it myself too, especially these days with the internet. You see an image online and you think that's really cool, that's what I want, or you think that's what you need to go and do a big trip. And I know a few people, especially some of my mates, think they need the biggest splashiest scene to go and do a bucket list trip. But you and me can both vouch for this. Some of the most fun we've had off-road, even on big trips. You took the Red Dog to the Cape, didn't you?
I did, mate.
You don't need a big budget flash car to go and do a bucket list trip.
But we're not saying there's anything wrong with having the flasher stuff. If you are at that point in your life and you can afford it, definitely go for it.
Yeah,
more aiming at the younger people, or the people getting into it. You don't have to live a champagne lifestyle on a beer budget. You can get done in a cheap budget build. And also, if you are just getting into it and you might have a few things on your vision board build you really like, don't go and do that straight away before you've gone and done these things. You might go and do a heap of mods for hardcore stuff or a heap of mods of touring, and then go and do them things and not enjoy them. So I'd say get your car, do a few basic mods, get some recovery gear and, you know, maybe a fridge and some tyres. Go and do a few trips and work out what sort of four-wheel driving you like, and then build from there.
For sure, you'll find very, very quickly what your vehicle is capable of, what you're capable of, and you'll also find what you like and don't like. When you're halfway up a hill and you've got a tyre in the air and you can't see anything, you might be like, this isn't for me. I like touring and camping, and you can build on it from there. I've had my SAS Hilux for 12 years now, and it didn't start like that. It was bog stock when I got it.
Yeah.
And the first trip I went out in, I took my dad's Esky and a Swag and went camping for a few days, and then kind of built on it from there. And now it's mildly, but I got carried away.
Yeah.
So you don't need all the flashy gear straight away.
We're both definitely guilty of that. I'm sure we've seen some mods online, or we've gone and bought something. Yeah, we really need this. We want it. And then it's probably been sitting in a car and we've never used it, or like we don't need it, but we've got it because we want it. So what we're trying to say is take a step back, slow down, go and use your car, work out exactly what you want to do. You save money, and you just won't be carting around things you're not going to use or don't need.
The other thing too, and it's probably a bit of a behind the scenes one, mate, you might agree with this, but in our jobs we get to drive lots of different cool cars. For the first time, a lot of them are quite stock, or they don't have all the flasher stuff. You know, we've spent years setting up our own cars to go on trips, and then you jump into another car you've just bought. It doesn't have anything anymore, and it's almost like a reset. And you take it out into the Simpson desert or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I don't have this, and this. I don't have the flashless fridge and
Yeah.
12 volt and lights and all that sort of stuff. I've got a real basic setup, and it humbles you and reminds you that you don't need it all. Then when you go to someone's setup who does have it, you're like, this is pretty nice. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, I think.
It's a balance, definitely, yeah.
Well, Jesse, there are a few lessons we've learned in the shed, getting the vehicles ready and then going out for your dream trip. What about when you're actually out there? What are some wheeling tips you've learned over the years?
Some wheeling tips. Probably the biggest one that I live by is seat time over shed time. The more you drive the car, the better you're going to know it, the better you're going to have the feel for it, and the better you're going to be able to wheel it. So that is a massive one. And just real simple things like if you're first getting into it, let down your tyres, make sure you got recovery gear, make sure you're prepared. Like those little things make a massive help at the end of the day.
Yeah, big time. For me, I've got two. The first one is something I say all the time. You said seat time over shed time. That's probably your catchphrase. Mine is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that comes down to wheeling. Is you don't need to rush into things a lot of the time with too much momentum on rock steps and things like that in particular. Yeah. You can feed your car, you can do damage, you can break it out in the bush and then you're in strife. Just slow down, take a breath, and there is nothing wrong with using a winch. If you have one, winches are so cheap these days.
Or even walking the track first too, that makes a massive help as well.
And you always bag me out for not liking to do it just because I like to see the limits of the car. But don't be afraid to do a bit of rock packing, do a bit of track building if you need to, and have a good spotter out there as well.
Spotters definitely help, yeah, for sure.
The second one is take your rubbish out. I know it's something we always are saying, and 99.9% of people are doing the right thing. It's just that small group of peanuts that are leaving their rubbish behind. Just don't. Like, you brought it in. It came in. It didn't exist out there. Just take it out with you.
Exactly, 100%. And I'd like to say that probably hopefully 100% of our viewers do the right thing and they don't leave rubbish in the bush.
Yeah, definitely not, mate. And let's move on because you guys at home sent a whole bunch of hard-learned lessons that you've learned from years of wheeling. I'm sure combined experience of everyone watching, there's probably thousands of years of wheeling all put together. Yeah. And mate, this one from Stu 1983, don't exceed your own limits to follow someone else or to show off. I definitely am guilty of that in the past. You know, you build your car, you want to show it with mates, kind of peer pressure as you're alluding to before. Yeah. That is a big one. Just slow down, cowboy. It's all good. And you're the one that's going to have to fix the car.
Yeah.
The mates G'ing you up, are they going to be the one that's going to hook in and fix the car?
Hindsight is a great thing. You know you don't want to do it, but you do it, then you wreck your car, and the whole drive home, you're just thinking, why did I do that?
We're all guilty of it, but it's a mistake you don't make too many times, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's one here from Jackson Goodchild. The cheaper the car, the more you do. And that is true. I love, when I started, I had a cheap four-wheel drive. I had a Vitara, bought for $300. And I feel like if I had a more expensive vehicle, I would have been very cautious. Like, compared to when I'm driving my GU to my GQ, I'm very cautious of my GU. My GQ, I'm happy to beat around a bit. So if you do want to, first getting into it, you want to explore and maybe do some more harder stuff, I would say get a cheap car, don't get the most expensive thing. Yeah,
for sure. This one goes back to grassroots wheeling. I really like it. It's from Menno Doctors. In most cases, tyre pressures will get you out of trouble and generally stop you getting in it. It's probably one of the best things you can do to your vehicle to make it more capable is adjust your tyre pressures off-road. That's I guess, wheeling 101. So Menno Doctors, that's a good one, mate, right back from the beginning.
There's another one here from Always All-Wheel Drive. He's learned that speed is the number one cause of breakages, slow and technical climbs at the go. And that's the go. I've seen many times before, people get stuck and they sit there going flat out or bouncing, and that's exactly when you break stuff. And that comes back to learning your car and knowing what mod you want to do, and also, just taking your time.
Definitely, mate. And you guys watching at home, what is the most important thing you've learned after years of wheeling out in the bush? If we've missed it or there's something you really want to let us know, tell us in the comments, because we're all here to learn. We're all here to experience what everyone else has dealt with over the years of wheeling, and I reckon we'll pick up a few tips and tricks along the way, mate.
You never stop learning, especially in this game.
Well, mate, next up, let's chat about some new four-wheel drives coming out this year, because there's some that are getting some pretty sick upgrades, and there are also some that are brand new coming to Australia this year that are going to be pretty hectic. So the likes of the MUX and the Mazda BT50, they're getting some cosmetic upgrades, a few changes to the interior and bits and pieces. The MUX, I reckon, is sorely needed. It's starting to look on the tail end of...
especially in Wagon of the Year, it was definitely a great basic car, but just the inside and a few, bit of the tech was a little bit behind, so it's definitely needed. It'll be good to see that when it comes out.
Mate, one that I'm actually keen to see is the Photon Tunland is coming out in Australia this year.
It looks very F-Truck spec, like it looks super tough.
Yeah, and they've got two variants coming out. They've got the V7, which is, I guess, dual cab ute size, and the V9, which is a bit more F-150 size.
V7 is the model, not the engine, is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm
It's a
thinking,
model.
how do you have an odd number in a V?
That'd be one cylinder just over
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I don't know. But they've both got a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel and an 8-speed automatic.
So small engine, but lots of gear, so it must work all right. But they look very cool. Like, you know, some of these new modern cars, I don't like the look of them, but that one looks tough.
Speaking of the looks of new model cars, mate, there was one that I think the internet had a field day on it when it was released. We're talking, of course, of the Kia Tasman that is coming out very, very soon. 2.2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel. And it's got, let's say, some style aesthetic that's ahead of its time.
It looks very space agey type thing, I reckon.
I like everyone had some quite strong opinions on the Tasman. I want to see one in person before I make an opinion. Drive one, take one for a wheel. Keen to see.
Back in the day, I remember, like, you know, when I first got my Ps, everyone had a Hyundai XL or like an old Kia as their first car, and they were cheap, and, you know, they were just a bit cheap and nasty. But these days, Kia and Hyundai, they're very good cars. So I'm keen to see that thing. I reckon it should be a quality build.
Yeah, mate. Speaking of big quality builds, GMC are bringing the Denali, the Yukon Denali to Australia.
To Australia?
Yeah.
I saw heaps of them when I was over in the US.
Big dog SUV. They always drive past in the US with like blacked out tint. They're all black. They look cool. They look like government
They
cars or something.
sound cool too. I think they're going to be like a 6.2-litre V8.
Yeah, it'd be an LS, I imagine.
I think so, yeah. It'd be very cool.
Big dog, that'd be cool. They're going to be on the dearer end of the scale, mate. And I believe they're going to be converted by the same company that's doing vehicles down in Melbourne.
So
like
that'll
the
bring the
Rams
cost
and
up. Yeah.
So keen to see how they go, because they're a big SUV. But we're starting to see a few more American vehicles coming over here. Like, for example, we've already spoken about this, but the mighty Toyota Tundra is coming. There are a couple of them being tested around that I've cited, but cool to see. Other utes that we've already spoken about, the Ford plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and the BYD Shark. Now, Jesse, you could probably talk a little bit more about that, because you just went and tested one.
That's exactly why I'm in Sydney. I've spent the last 2 or 3 days testing the BYD Shark 6, and I'll tell you what, I was a little bit disappointed in myself. I thought I was going to hate it, being like a new modern hybrid electric ute, and I'm an old 4-wheel drive guy, but I was very impressed by it. There were certainly a few areas where, you know, I thought, you know, this thing's just not going to cut it for Australian conditions. But overall, I definitely do think they have a place in Australia. Obviously not for everyone, and probably not for the stuff we do, but I was very impressed by it. It drove super nice.
I have to say, mate, that was not the answer I was expecting. You're going to be getting one to tow the caravan with, or what?
Probably not, but like, it's not for me, but I can see why someone would buy one for sure.
Now, there's a bunch of new vehicles there, but want to know from you guys, what four-wheel drive are you most interested in for 2025? Let us know in the comments below. There's a couple of epic ones coming out. I could see you in a GMC Denali, mate. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe. I just don't know how I'd pay for it, but I'd love the sound of it. That'd
pay
be
for
cool.
the fuel as well.
Yeah.
Mate, there's some awesome stuff we've chatted about on this episode of The Shed, but before we move on, we have a cracker of a deal of the month from Shaun from Marta Cars for Cancer.
Well, Marta Cars for Cancer have done it again with their biggest ever lottery. Now you could win what I reckon is one of the ultimate touring vehicles in this country, a Chop 300 series LandCruiser that's been extended, it's got a tray, canopy, all the off-road gear. In fact, there's over 130 grand's worth of accessories on this bad boy right here. And that wasn't cool enough, you'll be hooking up this lifestyle camper's Fusion van. Now it's a full off-road caravan, it'll take you to your wildest destinations. And get this, there's also $75,000 worth of cashable gold bullion. If you do the maths real quick, that takes the total prize package to over $420,000. Now it could all be yours with just a $30 ticket. Your best way to take advantage of this one is jump onto the website carsforcancer.com.au, but make sure you get your entries in real quick because this lottery ends real soon.
Well, Jesse, mate, now it's time for probably our favourite section, because I know you love a bit of a second-hand bargain with vehicles. Of course, we're talking about our Grey's top buys of the week, and we have some crackers here, mate. Let's go through it. Now, first up, this one I saw straight away.
Oh, that is you. Well, that's a beauty. Looks tidy too.
Yeah, so fun facts. I'm going to go Hilux nerd. Of course, it is an N60 Hilux. This one, 2004, so it's at the tail end of these before they went to an N70 Hilux, so you're probably getting a pretty nice one. And the best part is, mate, it has done 358,000 Ks, which sounds like a lot, but it's
just run in for one of them.
Yeah, the 1KZ, the engine that this has got, is a fantastic engine provider. They don't get hot and you look after them. That thing should last for years to come. And the best part is it looks pretty stock too, so it's probably just done running around town. That would be a great buy. I might even place a bid on it.
Yeah.
Next one, mate, is a 2018 Isuzu D-Max. Now, the reason I picked this one is it looks like an absolute ripper of a bike. It is set up to do, it's from WA, so I imagine it's probably a mine car, but it's only done 85,000 Ks, and I reckon if it looked pretty clean, that would probably be a good buy, because it's probably just done running around the site and things like that.
That's the best part about greys too. If you like this car, you can go have a look, check underneath. If it is good, chuck a bit on it. You got the good 4J engine in it, low Ks, lasts forever.
Yeah, that'd be a good buy for a long-term family car, I reckon. And, mate, what ones have you picked?
I have picked a 2003 Mitsubishi Pajero. Now, I think these things are a bit of an underdog full drive. Independent front, independent rear. They're kind of like a Mini Y62. This one is a diesel, but you can also get a V6, so heaps of power in either version. It's got 340,000 kilometers, but these 3.2 diesels are pretty strong with a little bit of maintenance. And yeah, I think these things are super capable. I've seen one of these with just a rear locker, and with all the diff clearance it had, was insane.
Yeah, they are. The Pajeros, we've been saying it for years, probably one of the most underrated four-wheel drives you can get.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking of underrated four-wheel drives, mate, another one I reckon is quite underrated is the Mitsubishi Triton.
Of course.
My pick here is a 2016 Mitsubishi Triton. It's only got 162,000 on it, so still very new, especially for a 2016 model. And this thing's kitted out. It's got a bull bar, driving lights, snorkel, canopy. Got some aftermarket rims on it too, like that. It's got a rear bar too, so you could get this for a steal. You don't have to spend any money on it. It's ready to hit the track.
Away you go. Yeah, that would be a perfect buy, mate.
Well, what do you reckon, mate? That's enough of us waffling on. This is probably one of my favourite parts of the sheds. We go from Jock's shed into your shed. We see what you guys have been up to, your fails, your rigs, and something I love to see is what the kids have been up to. Some of those drawings and Lego they're building is unreal.
Epic, mate. Let's have a look. Well, mate, first fail off the line. This is from Marty G, and he's just fitted a set of 33-inch tyres to his mighty Triton. Was straddling the ruts, but took the high side a bit too much. It kept leaning over. I dare say maybe his driver's side wheels probably slipped into the rut, and then he's just gone onto his side. Looks like, as far as putting it on your side, it looks...
He's done pretty well there.
Pretty well. So unfortunate that it happened, but he said himself, I'm sure he's learned his lesson and should have walked the track first.
Even as we said before too, a Navi would have definitely helped in this situation.
Yeah. He's also said that he was taking his mate out full driving for the first time, who's just got a full drive. So I hope that didn't scare your mate off,
He's
Marty.
probably trying to show off a bit then, I reckon.
Yeah, but next time at least you know you've got 33, so maybe just tip it in the ruts and see what happens.
Yeah. Mate, this thing is a rig. Look, that's beautiful. I love a white GQ. I don't think that you can get...
I never knew you loved a white GQ,
Yeah, well,
mate.
now you know. This thing is from Jimmy. It's a 1993. It's twin locked. It's got a Warnheimer winch, 18G turbo, big 11mm pump, and he reckons it's a tough tourer, mate. That is super tough.
It's definitely on the tougher side of the tourer side, but he's got a rooftop 10 on it.
He's got a rooftop 10. I think that's where the tourer comes in. But I love the layout too. It's all white and black. He's got white tray sides. Looks like he's just done it up, so he's going to have to get out there and use that. That is a beautiful rig, mate. Well done, Jimmy.
White four drives with black bar work. Bellissima. Well, next up, mate, a mighty Lego submission. This one comes from Mum Laura, and this is what her son James has made, and that looks like my vehicle.
Yeah, that's Jock's rig made by little young James. Look, he's even got a rope over the spare tyre on the back. That's awesome.
Perfect. Look at all the flex it's got. He's flexed it up on a Lego brick. That's about as much flex as mine has anyway on a Lego brick. That's awesome. Cool. James, epic, mate. Keep building them. That's sick. Look at the antenna as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's so cool. I love it. Well, of course, mate, there can only be one winner, and I reckon it has to go to Marty G, because...
It's got to be Marty G,
We've all done it, mate. He's driving a different line, done a few mods to his vehicle, had a bit of a slip-up, and it was his mate's first time four-wheel driving. So, Marty, you got a 4X merch pack coming your way. Now, of course, if you guys want to enter your vehicle, your fail, or you've got a young future four-wheel driver who's made an epic Lego creation that you want to show off, the best way to do it is by using the hashtags 4Drive247rigs, 4Drive247kids, and 4Drive247fails on our social medias, and we'll get you on the next episode of Beers in the Shed. You could win a 4X merch pack, mate.
Well, Jocko, that just about wraps up the shed for today, and our beers are empty, so perfect timing. Thanks for watching, and we do love to hear from you guys, so don't forget to get in touch with us. We've got all the socials. We've even got TikTok these days. We've got Instagram, Facebook, and of course YouTube. There's a couple of comments you guys can put below. We might even learn a thing or two for you.
Of course, Jesse, mate, as well. We've got some real exciting stuff coming up. The second part to your mental Tassie adventure.
Oh, muddy and mental,
Muddy and mental.
And what's going on over here? Looks like you're getting ready for something.
Mate, I'm leaving on a trip tomorrow in the Mighty Disco. Looks a little bit different from the last time you saw it, so keep an eye out, because it looks a little bit more Camel Trophy spec now, I think. But of course, you just got out in the BYD Shark, as we mentioned, and heaps more stuff to come. So make sure you keep an eye out. And Jesse, mate, we'll catch you next time on
4WD Drive 24/7.